I am the Chief Executive Officer here at Sea Turtle Inc. I am joined by Dr. Amy Bonka this
Hi.
afternoon and Mildred Ann. And we are here for our scheduled live Q&A event on the upcoming
Cold
stuns. So this is our first one of the season, our first cold stun of the season. And it's actually our first cold stun since finishing the new hospital.
Yes, it's very exciting to be in the new building with a cold stun.
You know, I bet a lot of people don't know, but a bunch of the influence and decisions we made in this building and the design of this building were influenced by the 2021 cold stun. And believe it or not, it's the 5-year anniversary of that cold stun event coming up.
This year?
Yeah, it feels like it was yesterday, and it feels like it was like a decade ago at the same
all of
time.
that.
So we're going to be on here with you. Y'all submitted some wonderful questions in advance. I do want you to know we do have Carlos, who is our moderator and producer that's across the boardwalk helping us out. Carlos is going to pop on and off through the segment today to help kind of feed us the questions y'all submitted in advance. I do want to remind you, if this feeds a question and you think of something else you wish you asked, just drop it in the comment section. Carlos will be watching there. We'll also put links and things as we go on and talk. But so with that, Carlos, if you're ready, we'll get started. I know the first question was, I think, the best question, which is, what is a cold stun and why does it happen? So a cold stun event, you know, Amy is the science mind. I always try to describe it as very similar to a coma for a human. So sea turtles use the temperature of the water to regulate their own body temperature, right? And they have great taste and they want to go where it's comfortable and pretty weather and beautiful. So that's why there are so many sea turtles here in the Laguna Madre Bay. Well, when it gets unseasonably cold, like it's about to do, it prohibits sea turtles from being able to use the warm water to regulate their body temperature. So they start to get cold. And, you know, what I like to describe to people is all their regular instincts are still there, right? So they still know they're supposed to swim. They still know they're supposed to lift their head up to breathe. All those things are there. They're still awake. They still know what's happening. But because they're so cold, their body is not really reacting to that message anymore. And what inevitably happens is they float to the surface of the water because they're not moving their flippers anymore. And if not pushed in by the waves or rescued, they will float there until they drown from being unable to lift their head. So it's a really tragic thing. And it's the reason why, you know, these cold stun responses are so critical.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting out there and getting them out of the weather quickly is really important.
Yeah. So Carlos, what's our next question?
Sure. So our next question is going to be, what are the biggest challenges when caring for cold stun turtles?
What are the biggest challenges? Well, you know, they don't do what they're told. I always think that's what they don't do what I want. I think the unknown is actually the biggest challenge. You know, people are going to ask, and I'm sure it will come up in this live, you know, how many do you expect to get? The answer is somewhere between 1 and 10,000.
It's a great estimate. I love that estimate.
There's no way to know. And I, at least from my perspective, I think the unknown is the most challenging part. You know, logistically, I think we rock at this. We have, you know, we've been responsible for cold stun response for 48 years here on the island. So I think we're great at the response piece and the operational execution. It's all the unknown variables. What do you think?
I agree 100%. I feel really good about our prep, where we're doing, getting ready, but it's that unknown part that we don't know.
The good news is I think our process is scalable. So whether it's 100 or 10,000, I've said that number twice now, and I hope I don't jinx us by saying it.
Who knows now?
I think we're ready. But I really think the unknown, at least from my perspective, is the hardest.
I would agree.
Carlos, what else?
Sure. The next question is going to be, do many of them, I'm assuming the sea turtles, have injuries? Do they have to recover from a stun before the treatment or anything like that?
Oh, great question.
That is a great question.
Make some comments on that.
So I would say a handful of our turtles come in with injuries. We usually see a line wrapped around their flippers or maybe a hook stuck in their flipper. Some of them, we occasionally get a boat strike. But most of them we can treat as soon as they come in. We don't have to wait for them to recover. We're going to give them medical care as soon as they get into us if they need that care.
Yeah, and most of the time, it's an injury that might not have caused them debilitation, but
Yes.
since we have them already,
Yes.
it gives us the opportunity to treat them. So, similar to you as a person, if you bang your elbow or you scratch your arm, you don't necessarily need to go to the doctor to get a band-aid and get it fixed up. But if you happen to go for something else,
Yep.
why not?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. For the most part, they're relatively passive injuries that we can treat pretty quickly. Good question.
Yeah.
Sure. So this question is going to be more like a volunteer question. So somebody asked, if we registered last year, do we need to re-register this year?
I'll take this one.
Yeah, that's
All
you.
right. So we love for you to attend our training again, even if you took it last year. We actually have an even shorter kind of refresher training for you. Overgoes just the key points of cold stuns and response as a reminder, since it has been a year since we were doing this last. But if you're interested, you can send an email to us at info@SeaTurtle Inc. We'll drop it here in the comments for you. We'll get your name, your email address, and we'll get those links to you so you can take that refresher and be part of the response.
Yeah, this is another, advancement of what we've learned really over the last 4 or 5 years, is synopsizing, especially for those like the person that asked this question that's been through the long version of the training again. We have created an online digital refresher course. So, we can get that to you on email pretty quickly, and you can be up, ready, and prepared to participate with us in the Cold Stun come this weekend, Sunday and Monday. Great. What else, Carlos?
Our next question is going to be, when are you anticipating a greater need for volunteers? Is it going to be Sunday or Monday?
Again, back to the things we don't know. It is absolutely at this point expected to be more a Monday event. So I think that we will see the temperatures drop. A lot of things that people don't always remember is that it's the water temperature that actually matters to us. So the air temperature is going to drop below freezing long before the water temperature. We expect the water temperature, as of the estimates this morning, to start to drop below the threshold late Sunday evening. So based on that, we may start seeing a few trickle in late Sunday night, but the big day is going to be Monday. So where we really want, and probably into Tuesday.
Yeah.
So where we really need eyes and ears and feet on the ground and looking is probably Monday into Tuesday.
So our next question is going to be, is there anything the public can do to help during the cold weather event? What are your current needs and items at the moment?
Yeah, eyeballs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what many people don't know, and I'll let Amy go over the details of the logistics, but what most people don't realize is that cold stun events are bayside events. So the bay is ripe with food, and sea turtles go where the food is, seagrass and all the goodies that are there. But it is a shallow body of water, which means it fluctuates on the temperature of that water way faster. So where you're looking is where the Laguna Madre Bay meets the land for the most part. So Amy, we have years worth of data, and statistically we see large volumes coming out of the same areas. So why don't you talk about where that might be?
Absolutely. So if you're in Port Isabel, that's going to be areas along North Shore Drive where that Laguna water is coming up against the land right there. We're looking around the Fingers area in Port Isabel, over towards Long Island Village area. If you're in Boca Chica, it's going to be Barracuda Cove and around South Bay. Those are our big areas. On the island, it's going to be all the ends of the Bayside streets.
Yeah, and all the way out to Laguna Vista and areas like that. Anything on that bay side where the water is on the Laguna Madre Bay is a really ripe for. And there's really 2 phases where this happens. They will be floating. Literally, you'll see their shell floating, and you will see them either struggling to move or not moving. And then as the wind and current takes them, they get pushed up on the tide line, and you'll see them on the tide line. So I don't know if this question's coming up, but the obvious thing to ask next is, what do we do if we see one?
I love this question. Give us a call. Give us a call first.
Call us first.
Yes.
We'll tell you what to do.
Yeah. That's actually the upcoming question. What should people do if they actually see a sea turtle?
Yeah. Call us.
Yes. Call us, 956-243-4361. We'll drop it in the comments too. Save it in your phone if you don't have it saved already. That's our emergency line. Call us anytime you see a sea turtle and we'll respond.
Yeah. So what a lot of people don't realize is that Sea Turtle Inc. is the permitted responding agency from the cut of Mansfield all the way through Boca Chica to the border of Mexico. So if you get to enjoy South Padre Island for any reason on any day, 365 days a year, you should have this sea turtle emergency number in your phone. A human being has that phone and answers it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can text it as well. And we are the reporting agency. So whether it be in this cold stun event or in July when you're enjoying your vacation, if you see a sea turtle in trouble, we're the ones to call. Great.
We have another question, and this question is, how do we help them get warm?
Oh, how do we help them get warm?
We don't.
We don't. Their body is intended to regulate itself. All we're trying to do is get it out of the temperature that's causing it to regulate itself too cold. So, you know, the hard part of a cold stun event is the response. It's the patrols, it's the boats. We haven't even talked about boats, but it's the physical getting them in the boat, getting them in the trailer, getting them to us, unloading them. Once they're here, it's let them rest and let them warm up on their own.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what are the little tips? You always have the same tips about once you get them, don't cover them up, don't turn the heater on.
So if you have a turtle and you're transporting to us, you've called us first to let us know, of course. But then you're gonna, if you're taking it in your vehicle and the turtle's inside the vehicle with you, don't turn the heat on. We don't want to reshock them. So they've gone from really cold. We don't want to then put them into a hot car because that can reshock them and that's not great for them. You don't want to wrap them in a towel. Don't wrap them in a tarp, a blanket, any of those things. We don't want to cover them in any way. You can put a towel down to protect the bottom of the car from the turtle. They're muddy, they're wet, they have seagrass, but don't wrap them up in anything and just bring them right to us.
Perfect. What else, Carlos?
I do have another question, and this one is, what is the treatment for cold stuns?
I think you hit that one. So it sounds like everybody wanted that one. So it's to bring them in, get them out of the weather elements, and then let their body regulate its temperature the way it's intended to in a more neutral setting. So we don't turn the heater on, we don't turn cold on, we don't wrap them up, we don't warm them up.
Nope.
It's just a matter. Sea turtles their eyes are intended to be underwater.
So we do provide a little bit of lubricant to their eyes to keep them moist.
Yeah.
But outside of that, they breathe air, so they're fine to just rest and start to wake back up.
Right.
Going to be in regards to how do we know when they're ready to head out back into the water?
I love to compare this to you as a human. You know, if you go into the hospital, there's a few mandatory things after surgery or any kind of event in the hospital that they require that you do to show that you're ready. It is not dissimilar with sea turtles. So we want to see them awake, we want to see them alert, and we want to see them go to the bathroom.
It's true.
That's pretty much what they require at the hospital too. So the good news is the recovery time for cold stuns is real short. I mean, their body's meant to regulate their temperature. So, you know, as soon as the water temperature gets back over 50 and they wake up, we're ready. They don't need us to be involved past that. We want to get them back out in their natural habitat as quickly as possible. So, you know, I'm sure someone's going to ask, if not today, in the coming days, will we have a release? For sure. If we have cold stun patients, we'll end up having to have a large release. It's too soon to say when that could be, but it could be Wednesday, it could be Thursday, it could be Friday. It depends on what the weather system does. Right now, it looks like it's pretty much going to be over for us by mid to late day Tuesday. That could mean as early as Wednesday or Thursday of next week, we're ready for a very large cold stun release.
It's always exciting.
Another question, and this one's coming from Instagram. So somebody asked the question is, do you ever get baby sea turtles?
In cold stuns?
Yes, that was the question.
No. So cold.
Very short answer.
Yeah, no. But there's a reason why.
Yes.
So why don't you talk about how sea turtles travel and
Yes.
what they do in those first few years of life?
So our baby sea turtles, when they leave the beach here, they're going to head out and they're going to be out in the ocean. So out in the Gulf, feeding way pretty far offshore. So they're not going to be coming into our bay until they're much bigger to feed on our seagrasses. So they're not in our area.
Yeah, and if you think about it, you know, the reason why it's a risk in the Laguna Madre Bay is it's a really shallow body of water. You know, baby sea turtles, really that first 5 years or 6 years of their life, they live on the ocean side. And you just think of that, it's just a limitless bathtub. They could go farther and go deeper to get to temperature regulating water, which is what their instinct tells them to do. This is a bayside event because it's so shallow. And the Laguna Madre Bay is so ripe for temperature changes. So babies tend to be on the ocean side. So we have never seen a baby during a cold stone.
So this one is not so much of a question, but I just want to, on Instagram, there's a comment that's saying they want to thank you guys and thank all the staff for care for the sea turtles. So yeah, I just want to make sure that everyone, if you have any more comments or anything like that, they can leave it down below. But one of the last questions is going to be, how can people help?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for the acknowledgement, and I want to make sure you know that Sea Turtle Inc. is an organization that is fueled by volunteerism. So while there's 25 or 30 of us that are paid to be here, there are hundreds and thousands that come just because this animal could not help itself otherwise. So we're just so proud to have and be associated with those volunteers and people that care that much about this animal. So we're grateful for that. And there's a lot of ways to help right now. I'll let you talk about patrols and eyes and ears and boats and all those things. And then I'll talk logistics about supplies. So why don't we do that?
Yeah. So if you, like I mentioned, if you haven't had our training or you want a refresher, send us an email. We'll get that to you right away. But you can help just by being out and looking for sea turtles. So on Monday, you can go anywhere where that laguna, that bay side is, take a look around. And if you see a sea turtle, give us a call. That's a great way to help us out. If you have a boat, let us know. Send an email to that info. That way we can add you to our boat list and get you some more information about boat response. Getting them out of the water as quickly as we can is the best chance they have. And those are two of the best ways to help. But give us a call. If you see a sea turtle, call us. That's a great way.
Yeah, your best asset to us, especially Monday, assuming that the weather, the timing continues to be like it is right now, which if it does, that means this is probably going to be a Monday, Tuesday event. Your best asset to us, if you live in the Rio Grande Valley, is your eyes and your ears and your feet. Is to go to the Laguna Madre Bay where the land meets the bay and look and report back, whether it might be by text or by call, to that stranding line of what you're finding and what you're seeing. We, as the permitting agency, will walk you through what to do. We just need to know what you've seen and where you've seen it at. So for those of you that are watching from wherever you live, there's a great ways for you to engage if you don't live here in the Rio Grande Valley. And that is our Amazon wish list is stocked full of all of the supplies, cleaning, medical supplies, all the things that, we don't plan for thousands of cold stone sea turtles in the budget process. So I feel pretty confident we're going to deplete assets and resources there on supply. So if you want to purchase medical supplies and things like that, you can find that on our website under other ways to help. There are donation links there. We are fully private nonprofit 501c3. So just good people like you that are looking for ways to help. And you can find all of that information on our Facebook page and ways to adopt sea turtles and things like that in the links below. I'm ready.
So we have another question, and this one is, do you try to pit tag all cold stun turtles that you receive?
What a great question.
I love this question.
We try.
We try.
Why don't you talk about how when you pivot?
Yeah, we try up to once we start getting into the high hundreds or thousands, then that's too many.
So this question was clearly asked by somebody that knows what a pit tag is. So I guess I should back up. A pit tag is very similar to what Miss Mildred has. So a pit tag is not a satellite tag. It doesn't track where they go and show us how they travel. It says that Mildred Ann belongs and lives here on South Padre Island and that's where she was tagged. So in the perfect world, we are able to pit tag all of these patients and the cold stones that come in that way as they're traveling through the universe. If they get hurt or they strand somewhere else in Florida or in Corpus or Australia, wherever, they can scan that pit tag and go, oh, they were on South Padre Island in January of 2026. And it's informational and it actually helps us because we get patients that have been cold stones with us. We see repeat patients. So that gives you a little context about pit tags, but it is a process. It's a medical process. And Dr. Amy owns that piece. And we try real hard, but we do give up some. So.
We do sometimes have to take a step back when there's just too many.
Yeah. So we try, generally 500-600 patients, we'll pit tag all of them. If we get to over that, Dr. Amy will start using her experience to make decisions about which ones we pit tag. And it usually tends to be based on size.
Yes. Yeah? Yep. Bigger ones, they're a little bit older. So
Great. Any other questions, Carlos?
Yeah. So we have another question. And this one is, since you release in the Gulf, do turtles end up returning to the bay?
For sure.
Mhm.
So I'll let you talk about it because this changes by time of year.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah. So we see, especially in the winter when they're in here feeding, they'll come back around. So they'll go out in the Gulf, they'll go through our channel, they'll feed on the seagrass that's in there. We get a lot that are moving through that channel, especially in the summertime. We
Yeah.
see a lot of rock babies in the summer where they're getting stuck in those jetty rocks where they're moving through that channel.
So this time of year, we don't release on the bay
Mm-mm.
side. We release in the Laguna Madre Bay probably 8 months a year. But when the winter for Texas season comes, we start to release on the beach side.
Yes.
And what that does is give sea turtles the opportunity to go out into the ocean and come back around into the jetties over a longer period of time in hopes that they avoid the cold stun season in that travel.
Yeah.
Any other questions, Carlos?
Yes. So
Awesome.
I have a question in regards to how can people stay up to date of what's going on with the sea turtling? Where can they go?
Great. So you're going to see a lot of us over the next 4 or 5 days. So we commit either me alone or Dr. Amy, as she's able to pull away from the turtles, that we try to go live at least once a day, if not twice a day during cold stun events. We also will diligently, Carlos, who's the producer, and Ryan, who's behind the camera, and Maria in our marketing department, communicate relentlessly on our Facebook page. We will continue to provide updates and counts and numbers as we can. And then when we get back to our regular life, which hopefully will be, in the next week, you can follow us here on Facebook, on TikTok, on Instagram. And then we have a wonderful website that will give you all our patient updates and who's in our hospital and what's going on at our facility. So I would encourage you, whether it be by monetary, through engagement on our social media platform, sharing our content or our Amazon wish list, to consider engaging with us over the next week as we go through this cold stun event. So with that, I think we're done.
All right.
So what I would suggest that you do is, for those of you that live local, if you see a Sea Turtle Inc. employee, be nice. They're probably tired. It's going to be a long week. And for those of you that are all over the United States and the world, your encouragement, your comments, your likes, and your shares help us greatly in spreading the mission of what we're doing. And we look forward to seeing you through this cold stun event. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye-bye.